Hi, this is Jeremy Venab with J&J Powersports, and in this video, you're going to learn how to make your 49cc scooter go faster. First thing you're going to learn is the 3 essential things every engine needs to gain more speed and horsepower. And finally, I'm going to show you 4 bolt-on parts that every scooter needs to make it go faster. Now, before we get into all that, let's first learn actually how our scooters breathe, because that's the first essential part we need to know on how to make an engine go faster. So, this here is a stock air box that comes on most typical 49cc scooters. As you can see, it's quite large, and this is how it works. Air is going to enter in through this tube here. It's going to travel the entire length of this box. Finally, it's going to exit out this tube into our carburetor. That's what goes down into our engine. As you can tell, by design, this thing here makes it very difficult for our scooters to breathe. Now, what a lot of people think is that air is actually forced through this tiny little hole. That's not true. Now, here's how a scooter engine or any engine breathes. So when your piston is on top dead center just like this, all right, and it begins to go down, that's called our intake stroke. So the intake stroke, what it's going to do, the intake valve is going to open up here. All right, when this piston travels downward, it's actually going to create a suction that's going to pull air in. So when our engine's in that intake stroke, it has to pull air from here all the way through this box down into this tube here, then gets to our carburetor and gets to our engine. So by design, this here is actually going to restrict the airflow. Now, why do they do that? Well, scooter manufacturers, they try to choke down these engines as much as they can to keep the speeds low. Okay, now, the second thing we need to make our scooter go faster is increased fuel, okay? We can't increase the airflow and not increase the fuel, because what's going to happen is our air-fuel mixture is going to be off, and it's going to cause our scooter to run very lean. We're going to have way too much air, and we're not going to have enough fuel. So the second thing we need is we need to increase the fuel. So to make any engine go faster, what you have to do is you got to force as much air and as much fuel into the combustion chamber, okay? The more air and fuel you get forced in there, the bigger the explosion you're going to get. It's really going to drive that piston down harder. It's going to turn that crankshaft, and that's what's going to increase the horsepower. The bigger the explosion, so to get a big explosion, you got to have increased airflow and increased fuel flow into that engine. Now, the third thing we need is we need increased spark, or we need increased ignition. So we've got all this air-fuel mixture, we've got it crammed down into the engine. Now, if we can't ignite that successfully, we're going to end up wasting everything we just put into the engine. So the third thing we need, and they're all vital, is increased ignition, okay? And we need to increase it in 2 ways. We got to increase it in duration, meaning we got to make our spark last longer, okay? Then secondly, we need to increase the intensity of it, meaning we need a hotter spark to get everything ignited. Now, a lot of questions come up like this. How do I do this with my scooter? Well, there's a few different ways you can do this. One, you can try to jerry-rig the parts that you have, cut the wire on your CDI box to see if that helps with the ignition. You can also, you can try to open up your carburetor by drilling it out, then taking the jet and drilling that jet out. Now, what I would tell you this, you risk of actually hurting your scooter more than you do of gaining any more speed. Now, if you're serious about increasing the speed of your scooter, here's what you need to do. You need to do what all serious people do. Now, this goes from the guy who's got a race car, or this goes to the guy who's building a hopped up scooter engine in his garage, okay? What all serious people do is they buy better quality and they buy high performance parts to put on their engines. That's going to give you the most reliable increase in speed and horsepower. So, now finally, let's talk about the parts. Now, when we build a scooter engine, all right, we do it in a few different phases. Some people just want, the first phase of it. They just want a little bit more extra speed, a little bit more extra power. Some people want all 3 phases where we put a big bore kit in it and we do, across the gamut. Now, before we do anything, on a scooter engine, whether we're putting a big bore kit in it or not or anything, we start off with 4 basic parts, and these are essential, okay? So you've got to have these 4 parts before you can add any other parts on top to it to get, you know, the success and the power that you're looking for. So now, how do we increase the airflow into our engines? All right, so here's what we do. We use a K&N style air filter like this one from J&J Power Sports. Now, you can see, obviously, this is, you know, half or not even, you know, it's a 1/10 of the size of the stock air box. So this makes it very easy for your scooter to breathe. This entire surface around here is pliable, so, you know, air can go through it. All right, makes it super easy for your scooter to breathe. So this is the first piece we do. Now, the second piece we do is we upgrade the carburetor to a high performance carburetor like this one here. This is a Superflow carburetor from J&J Power Sports. Now, what makes this carburetor different? Now, 1, this flows air extremely well. Number 2, inside of here we have precision jetting that's specifically designed for the GY6 engine to give it the, you know, the maximum amount of airflow and the maximum amount of fuel that you need to increase the horsepower of your engine. Now, if you're running a big bore kit, you definitely have to get a high performance carburetor. If not, you're going to run it way too lean and you risk burning it up. So another thing about this carburetor is, if you can see this on the bottom on the video, this thing has the actual screws in it. So you can actually take this apart, mess with your jetting if you wanted to. I recommend don't do it, but I'm just saying you can actually open it up and you can, you know, you can fix on things and you can clean it out, you know, if you've had it for a long time and it needs, you know, some cleaning, so you can do some routine maintenance on it. So, all right, now the 4th parts that we use, okay, now this here is to increase the ignition. All right, so this here is the J&J Power Sports High Performance Racing CDI. Now, what the CDI is going to do, this is actually going to increase the timing of the spark. It's going to send a signal, all right, to your coil to ignite faster. Okay, it's going to increase the timing of it. All right, so now the second thing we needed to do, we talked, you know, there's 2 phases of it. We need to increase the timing of it. We need to increase the duration of it. All right, and the CDI box does that. Now, to increase the intensity of the spark, we upgrade here to the J&J Power Sports Racing Coil. Now, what this does here, excuse me, this amplifies the spark, okay? So you're gonna get 3, 4, 5 times more spark than you would with the stock coil. So when we cram all that fuel air mixture inside of that engine, if we don't have like a high performance coil on there, we risk not igniting everything because the spark's not hot enough. So that's our base level. That's what we do, those 4 parts. Now, if you want other, you know, the Beast big bore kit and stuff like that, those are gonna be on other videos. Now, a lot of people ask me, Jeremy, how can I get these parts? Now, if you go to our website, jnjpowersports.com, and you ordered each one of these parts individually, you're going to pay about $155 for them. Now, in this special video offer, if you're serious about it and you want to make your scooter go faster, all right, you can actually get all these parts if you order through this website here. If you order now, all right, you can get them all for $99.95, and we will even cover the shipping on that. So it's just going to be a flat $99.95. So if you're serious about it, you want to make your scooter go faster, go ahead and click the buy now button right now, and we'll go ahead and we'll get your order shipped out to you in the next couple days. So this is Jeremy Venett with J&J Power Sports. I hope you got some value out of this video, and I hope you learned a little bit more about how to make your scooter go faster. So if you're serious about it, go ahead and click buy right now.